Welcome back to episode 6 of the Riding Third podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Bratton, along with former MSU outfielder, All-American, Team USA candidate, and AUSL champion, Sierra Sacco. Welcome back to the show, Sierra.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here as well. And we have a special guest today, Leila. Ammon. We'll get more into her here momentarily and really want to do a good job of highlighting the pitching staff this year. That's kind of been a theme so far week to week, and we'll get into some of the nitty-gritty. Pardon the RPI pun there. We'll get into some of that here momentarily in terms of what the pitching staff has been able to accomplish so far. But very exciting week last week. Hit the road for quite a bit. We've been on the road for quite some time now. We had Clemson tournament the weekend before, made a pit stop on our way through Georgia Tech and Atlanta on the way there, another ACC foe. So some true road games last week. And then this past week, on the road to UAB in the midweek. A lot of Birmingham alumni there, and the crowd, the Birmingham alumni chapter, matter of fact, fed the team post-game. So Jonathan Boyd and that group do a great job of making sure that we're well taken care of when we come to the Birmingham and the greater Birmingham area. And then on our way down to South Alabama last weekend, I had a 5-game tilt down there, 2 games Friday, 2 games Saturday, and then the finale on Sunday. Weren't sure if we were going to get the Sunday game in. There was a lot of rain in the forecast Thursday through Saturday. It looked like there's going to be a lot of rain we're going to be dodging. Luckily, it didn't really impact us much on Friday. It did delay a little bit Sunday morning, but luckily we were able to kind of get through some of that misty rain and get all those games in. But it's kind of crazy. Here we are going into week 5 of the season, and there's only 2 midweeks left. After the doubleheader yesterday, there's 2 midweeks left. So a big portion of the season already behind us, especially in terms of the non-con. Which is of uber importance. We've talked about that ad nauseum over the years about how important the non-conference slate is. And you saw some of that kind of come into play this week with the initial RPI rankings come out. And they had us number 9 in the NCAA RPI that was released yesterday on their website. The number 9 is actually the highest RPI in school history.
There you go.
So starting out 26-2 will do that to you. We had a chance in 2020, the COVID-shortened season. That team was 25-3. That 2020 year was 25-3. Coach Ricketts' first year as the head coach. Had a really good group of seniors, some veterans in that bunch. It's kind of crazy going through the numbers from a stolen base. It's identical, 30 for 33 in the stolen base department this year, just like we were in 2020. Obviously, we had Thunder and Lightning in 2020. Had Fale Lua and Mia Davis, and they went on to hit a ton of home runs together throughout their career. Rafael Palmeiro actually dubbed them Thunder and Lightning 2.0. So those girls need no introduction.
Right.
But a lot of similarities this year. Had a really strong pitching staff that season as well. Three arms that are really logging a lot of innings for us. We've got the 3 now, you being a key part of that. And we'll kind of dive into some of that stuff here in a minute. But the number 9 RPI, it's not the ending point, of course, but you want to give yourself a chance to start at a good spot. Mm-hmm. And the number 9 being the highest in school history is certainly where you'd like to be as we welcome number 1 Tennessee coming to town. So lot of big numbers there. Kind of getting into some of the other stuff. It's now Wednesday, which means all the polls for this week have come out. We've checked in now at number 12 in D1 softball. So if you've heard this before, you're going to hear it again. This is the 4th straight week of having our highest ranking in one poll or the other. The number 12 in D1 softball, number 12 in NFCA, the coaches poll is 12, and then I think we're 13 in Softball America and 14 in USA collegiate softball. So a lot to be excited about. Obviously, a big tilt this weekend with Tennessee coming to town, and should be a lot of fun here. Hoping for good weather. I think we're going to be up in the 80s on Saturday and Sunday. So this time of year in the Deep South, you don't know if it's going to be hot, cold. Now you got some pollen. We got the pine trees kind of getting some pollen going on out there. So a lot of fun. Exciting time of year. Spring break for you guys. You guys are like professional ball players right now. You get your meal card loaded up with your per diem. You get all these meals taken care of. There's no school right now, although Key did have a test on Monday.
Yeah.
But none of that going on, and now it's just earlier practices. We're able to practice in the mornings, kind of get done around lunchtime, give you guys the afternoon off. So kind of going into a little bit of that. You're a transfer to us from Middle Tennessee State, so glad to have you here. We were able to face you last year, and you had a pretty good game against us, yeah, some would say. Unfortunately for us, you had a pretty good game against us, but kind of fast forward to now. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. You were a big part of what we wanted to try to do in the portal. We wanted to make sure we beefed up the pitching staff, and that's something that you're kind of starting to see really take off between your numbers and what Alyssa's done and what Paige has done as well. But say all that to say this. That was a very long-winded introduction, but Leila, welcome to the show finally.
Thank you for having me.
Leila comes to us by way of the Panhandle of Florida. your sister just graduated at Florida State, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And is she a photographer by trade? Is that kind of something she's always done, or?
It's actually not. She used to play softball, and she decided just to pick up the camera and take a bunch of photos, and she's very, very good. She's very good.
I've got good friends that coach at Florida State. Of course, Coach Rick has coached with Coacha, Lonnie Alameda in the pro team with the USSSA Pride one year. But I've known Travis and Troy for a long time, and every now and then I'll see them post stuff, and it'll have your sister kind of credited with the tag in the photo that was taken. So, softball kind of runs in the family.
It does.
It runs in the family so much so that your dog
is now a softball star.
It's now a softball star. Softball America released their studs of the week. I was waiting to see if Finnegan was going to make the listing, but this past weekend it just went viral. Finnegan in the crowd. Of course, there hasn't been a game that Finnegan hasn't made it to. I mean, the dog's been everywhere, and keeps your mom and dad entertained. Of course, keeps the fans in the stands entertained. Of course. But there was a really good photo circulating around this weekend from the South Alabama tournament of Finnegan kind of having these squinted eyes and a little bit of a smile. So is that kind of the day-to-day aspect of how Finnegan kind of operates, or kind of give us a day in the life of your dog here?
A day in the life. I mean, I would love to be Finnegan for a day. He loves just sitting there watching softball, even at home. If we're not playing, my parents turn on softball, and he'll sit and watch it the whole time. Yeah. Honestly, he's very well behaved in public. In private, he's not. So he runs the house, that's for sure.
Definitely got the PR going down for sure, the public relations there with Finnegan. But kind of switching gears a minute, I mentioned the 26-2. That's a 929 record winning percentage going into conference play. It's the highest in school history. Mentioned the 25-3 team in 2020, so one game above that. 929 winning percentage right now as we welcome Tennessee Volunteers into town. Led in the box really with Nadia Barbary and Key Sales, kind of the 2-3. The last 2 weeks have really kind of taken off. Keys last week, she had 3 doubles, 3 homers, 6 RBIs. Also now has a single season career high, 8 stolen bases. So she's 8 for 9 in the bags department. Something you know a thing or two about there, Sacco.
Try to.
Nadia Barbary tied a school record, her 3rd career Grand Slam against Sanford. That was a big one. It was kind of the knockout punch in that game. Certainly has some challenging balls early in the game. Really the whole weekend. We hit a lot of really hard balls right at people. The wind, not our friend too much. The wind was kind of blowing from right to left. We hit a lot of really hard balls in the gaps in right center, and the wind just kind of kept them all up and allowed their outfielders to run under it. But nonetheless, Nadia got into one Grand Slam. Her and Key, the back-to-back was huge in the come-from-behind win on Sunday at South Alabama. Again, kind of a windy day, kind of a gloomy day, a little bit of rain on the way. You had a big inning in relief coming in, getting us that shutdown inning after Key hit the 2-run go-ahead homer in that game, but really kind of capped off a solid weekend in the box for both Key and Nadia. Pitcher staff, again, going into the last game, I think we'd only given up 2 runs the whole weekend. I think it might have been 4 total runs whole weekend. So that's kind of been, really a big strength of our team this year is what y'all have done in the staff and in the circle. And, our pitchers still lead the nation, kind of get into some big ones here, in strikeouts. 253 Ks is number 1 in the country. 56 strikeout looking as a pitching staff also tops. That's a stat that Coach T takes a lot of pride in. Getting, it's one thing to strike you out, but getting a strikeout looking, that's where strategy comes in, and she does a good job really diving into the film and diving into the scouting of opponent hitters and ways we're going to be able to try to get them out. And, she has a really good memory. I've known Tara for a long time, and her memory is elite. She can tell you what happened on a 2-1 count against so-and-so in the World Series back when she was playing, and it's kind of crazy to go back and look at the VHS tapes. That's how long ago it was. You look at the VHS, you're like, she was right. I'm kidding, Coach T. I'm kidding. I'm older than you, so it's all good. But yeah, the strikeouts looking is something that she takes a lot of pride in. I know you guys do as well. Leila, what's it like kind of being able to get on the same page? Nowadays, you got the pitch com, so you're kind of hitting a button and you're just looking at the pitch com. Before, there's a lot of different ways of signaling pitches in, but kind of tell us what it's like to work with Coach T and what it's like to have her in your corner calling pitches for you.
Honestly, she's probably one of the best things that's happened to me. Obviously, all you guys are, but I take full trust in her. I know when she's calling a pitch, I can hit it and it's gonna work out the way it should be. In the bullpen, she really just focuses on us being ourselves. She doesn't try to change anyone, and I think that's why we've had the most success because, I'm not trying to be Paige is not trying to be me. It's all, we're all really complement each other.
Absolutely, and kind of watching it from afar, we've got 7 arms, and she's with you guys one-on-one in the fall. It's 7 different bullpen sessions, one at a time. And I think a lot of that speaks into her and her work ethic of kind of getting to know y'all. We know what you can do in the circle, but kind of just getting to know you on more of a personal level. I think that's huge, and that's kind of building a lot of that trust when it comes into calling pitches and knowing what you do well, kind of attacking your strengths, not necessarily what the hitter's weaknesses are, but kind of staying with what your strengths are, things that you've done well to get to this point. Obviously, strikeouts is something that you're familiar with. I think you broke a school record for strikeouts in high school. Yeah, the strikeout makes everybody's life better. Makes an outfielder's life better. Makes a third baseman's life better. First baseman, all the way down the line. And catching wise, better. Throwing out runners. Hard to throw runners out if there's not anybody on base. So it limits those opportunities as well. But yeah, strikeouts are big. Kind of switching gears to one of your other cohorts, Alyssa Faircloth became the fastest to 100 strikeouts in school history this past week. So she's up to 112 now in 61 innings. So 7 wins on the year, 4 saves in relief. Had a big save against South Al the other day. If we had a 9-inning type of format, we could have like a holder situation or a stopper situation. And that's kind of like what you were in relief on Sunday against a very good South Alabama team, a team that's had a lot of success over the years. You look at the signage on their wall, a team that's hosted regionals, a team that's won the Sun Belt Championship. Them and ULL kind of ran the show there. Really, when I started into softball, South Al was his neck and neck between them and Mike Lateef at UL for who was going to win the Sun Belt kind of year in and year out. So a lot of history there, a lot of pride there, very good facilities down in Mobile. But, yeah, that was a big win on Sunday, kind of a gritty one, and one that we haven't really been tested in quite that often this year. But to come from behind and Key's big 2-run blast to put us ahead, but you coming into the 5th, kind of getting that shutdown inning, absolutely crucial. Getting out of the jam there, had a couple runners on. You induced a ground ball to Styles. The fielder's choice got out of that jam, and then now the Dogs are off and running again. But had a really good start to open up that weekend for us. Again, we had New Mexico and Sanford. Kind of a unique setup. 2 teams we had played already this year. We had New Mexico week 1 down in Baylor, and we had Sanford week 3 at our tournament. A very battle-tested Sanford team. We talked about that in our scouting meeting. About how strong of a schedule they had played when they went to Florida State, they went to Georgia, they went to Mississippi State, they went to Oregon. They had kind of been a very battle-tested team, so certainly we knew we were going to take a punch from them, and we did. We were able to kind of withstand that, and then Noddy with the big grand slam that I mentioned a little bit ago. But yeah, Faircloth, 112 Ks in 61 innings. That's almost 2 an inning. These are numbers that you're trying to recruit out of high school. You're looking at high school numbers, you're like, hey, two Ks per inning pitch is a pretty good standard, whether it's a baseball pitcher or a softball pitcher. Those are the kind of numbers you're looking for when you're looking at stats that matter. Yeah. And we can kind of get into a long diatribe about high school stats and which Aunt Susie is keeping the scoreboard. There's a lot of things we could get into. But strikeouts either happened or they didn't. And getting 2-1 almost with Alyssa is just tip of the cap to her. Obviously, another kid we took out of the portal and really thriving in Starkville. And, that was kind of the title of a article with Coach T last week, just about how you guys have been able to kind of come in and thrive in Starkville. And Starkville's a tremendous town. I think when fans get here and when players get here and see it, they're like, man, there's a lot of opportunity here, and you're kind of starting to see that a little bit more and more as we kind of dive in to SCC play. Second nationally in strikeouts per 7 innings, Alyssa, this is 12.85. She's 4th in total strikeouts, leads the nation in whiff rate at 45.1%, and called strike plus whiff rate. This is some advanced analytics here. Getting into some of these numbers, 43.4% of her pitches. So big-time numbers there. Peja, another gem against Sanford on Saturday, one out away from a no-hitter. Several one-hitters in her career, got really close to another no-hitter. You as well, a no-hitter yesterday. It kind of segues right in to the no-hitter portion. And we've been really close. Peja's been close to a perfect game this year. Several one-hitters already this year. But your no-hitter yesterday, 27th in school history. The one batter that reached base was kind of a quick play up the middle. Styles got to it quickly, tried to make a throw on the run, would have had her had it been a little bit on the bag, wound up being a E6 there. One of the few errors we've had all year. I think that's only her second one all year, maybe our 6th as a team, something like that. Really high fielding percentage on top of all that. And that kind of goes into no-hitters got to make plays too. It's easy if you strike out 21. You're like, hey, well, that was pretty. not just so much for the pitcher here, but for the team-wise, yes. But you got to be able to make plays, and Nadia made some great plays this weekend. Styles got another ball at a right back too. But kind of tell us a little bit about you kind of going into that game yesterday. 27th no-hitter in school history. Kind of what was your pregame prep like, and kind of what did you feel in the circle as you were kind of taking the show yesterday for us?
Before the game, I was really just trying to get back, get ready for everything this weekend, SEC coming up, and I really just wanted to trust myself in the mound. On the field, nobody ever really thinks like, oh, I'm going to throw a no-hitter.
Right, right.
So I didn't think about it until maybe the third inning, and then I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe it could actually happen. And of course, without the defense and without our offense, like it would be less likely, of course. So I'm super glad that, our offense performed as they did, like super early in the game. So I did have the opportunity to finish it out.
Well, it's good that you're giving us a truthful response. You always ask
Yeah.
pitchers, hey, did you know you had a no-hitter? No, I had no idea. That's a lie.
Yeah.
That is 100% a lie.
Knew.
Yeah.
You know, Aunt Susie keeping the scorebook in the stands, she knows.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that a no-hitter's going.
Right.
At least if you're kind of locked in, you know what's going on. But yeah, it's kind of, code to the dugout too. You're like, hey, do we want to do this, that? And it's like, everybody
Don't
knows
say
it
anything.
without saying it. It's
Exactly.
taboo to say it. You can't talk about it. It's, what's going on. It's kind of the elephant in the room. You see the movie with Kevin Costner where he's throwing the perfect game, with the Detroit Tigers. A great movie. For the Love of the Game is the title of that. If you haven't checked that one out on DVD, I encourage you to do so. It's probably on Netflix now. But he's got the perfect game going, and he's sitting by himself on the end of the bench, and nobody's talking to him,
Yeah.
which might be worse, because a center fielder wants to make a play, left fielder wants to make a play, right fielder, all these things in a perfect game or a no hitter. But the one that's lonely is the pitcher. It kind of all eyes kind of get back into the circle, and you see that illustration in Hollywood with Kevin Costner, and nobody's talking to the guy. And it's kind of the same thing here. Page has been close. The first game of the year against Baylor, 1 out away. 1 out away from a perfect game against Sanford. You finally got one for us this year, so kudos to you. Kudos to Coach T. Kudos to the pitcher staff. Kind of getting into more of you, kind of being the feature story on our show here today. Entering Tuesday alone, Leila was 5th in the NCAA in ERA, 0.62. 3rd in the NCAA in fielding independent pitching, 0.54. 3rd in strikeout to walk ratio, 13.25. And 3rd in whip. Now, Zach gives me a hard time about how I say the word whip. And it gets into a Family Guy episode years and years ago about Cool Whip. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, you have to look that up on YouTube. But it's a really funny story, and everybody's like, Braden, why you put so much emphasis on the H? Because it kind of goes back to Brian Griffin and Family Guy and all that years and years ago. But anyway, I digress. But whip, 3rd in the NCAA in whip, so that's walks or hits per innings pitched at 0.53. So yes, no hitters, perfect games, good defense, all that kind of goes hand in hand. When you're throwing strikes, you're keeping your defense on their toes. Nothing's worse than a lot of walks. You get into a lot of walks. Saka's been out in the center field for 17 minutes. Now, all of a sudden, her first jump's not as good as it would have been had it been the 4th pitch of the inning.
Right.
So it's just like a domino type effect when it comes into all that, working hand in hand between defense and offense, offense and defense and pitching, timely hitting, all that kind of stuff that we talked about before kind of goes hand in hand. And again, those numbers, crazy numbers, they only got better since last night's doubleheader. So tip of the cap to you. A lot of hard work that you've done this offseason. Kind of a highlight of Marcy Hoppin, our strength staff too. The time and effort they put into building you guys into elite athletes as well. And there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, more than just what you see on TV or between the white lines when you come in to watch us play. So that kind of gets into the catching up portion of our show. We'll let Sierra kind of lead more of the interview type scenario here as we get into our special guest, Leila, here, coming to us by way of the Panhandle of Florida. So, Sacco, go ahead with it.
So kind of talk about what it's like to have like a Mississippi State offense kind of behind you as a pitcher, as like you're going in and they just put up a 5-spot or a 3-spot. Kind of what has that shift been like coming from Middle Tennessee to now an SEC type offense?
It honestly lets you relax. Like, you don't have to be tense when you're pitching, You can't win with 0 runs. You can't, it's hard to win even with 1 run on the board. So it's really just allowed me to relax, and I'm sure all the pitchers just to relax and throw your best.
Right. Do you think it's like a different stage that you feel like you're playing on now? Like coming from mid-major to SEC, does it feel like a different level?
100%. Yeah. And, I try not to think about it, but it is still just so cool. Like, people say it's like the imposter effect. Like, you still feel like you're living your dream, really.
Absolutely. What was that kind of process like going into the portal from Middle Tennessee and then finding your way to Mississippi State? What was that kind of like?
It was unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really, that's the only thing I could say. It was really just unreal.
Yeah. Whenever you saw Starkville, not from whenever you were playing us, but from a recruiting standpoint, kind of what was it like as a town, as a city of a whole?
I loved it. Like, as soon as I got here, I like the pace of the town. I do like how small it is, but I don't think it's even that small. I think it's perfect size. It has everything you really need. And I love how the town supports the athletics, the university, everything this town, like, strives to be, you know.
Yeah. Was it kind of like always your goal to be an SEC athlete? I know that's kind of like the branding of always wanting to go SEC, D1 or bust, Power 4 now or bust. So kind of what was it like growing up wanting to be like a softball player?
Yeah, honestly, I never thought I would get to this level ever. Like, if you asked me even 3 years ago, I would have like laughed probably. And being here now is obviously, I've said so cool, but growing up, I just wanted to play.
Yeah.
Like, I just wanted to go somewhere, make an impact, and play.
Yeah. And then you started baking sourdough, actually. Coach Ricketts is actually into the sourdough, too. So kind of what is that like? You're just a chef now.
It's busy.
You got to feed it. You got to take care of it. It's like a dog.
Yeah, it literally is like a pet. And Anna and Paige those are my two roommates.
Yeah.
They love whenever I bake because they're my testers. So
that's a good gig.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we are for Coach Ricketts.
We are, yeah. I mean, she's going to cook tonight for us, matter of fact. But
there we go.
Yeah, she brings the sourdough in, and we've got some like pizza sourdough bread.
Yeah.
We've got regular sourdough bread. There's some with like cinnamon glaze. It's all kinds of flavors of the sourdough bread. I got to tell you, it's pretty good.
Yeah, she's definitely a lot better than I am, but it is good.
Yeah.
You know, kind of talking about a little bit of the off the field stuff. You know, the Starkville, USA Today, 2 years in a row, best small town in the South. So kind of getting into the point that you're making there. It is a small town, but it's a town where everybody knows your name. You know, you go and get gas after a win. You know, some fans can be like, hey, Leila, you pitched a great game last night. I watched you guys on TV. That was awesome. Or I was at the game or whatever. In a lot of your bigger cities, you miss that. You know, you may be a star athlete in a bigger city, and, you know, you go to the gas station, you go to the restaurant, and folks have no idea who you are. Here, you're kind of a small celebrity, you know, and I think it kind of gets into, you know, there's power in the SEC, of course, the SEC network. There's a lot of chances to be out there and be, you know, grow your brand. You've got some NIL deals as well. There's opportunities to grow your brand here, of course, but kind of people knowing your name, that affinity that you have in this town, I think is what really sets us apart from a lot of the others, is that celebrity status. Sacco's signing autographs at Walmart, you know, and you're just going to get a pack of tuna for the house or whatever, you know, and here you are, you're signing autographs at Walmart, kind of the same for you. And you know, it was very similar. This is dating myself. Back in 2006, we were the number one team in the nation in baseball. And what a time to be a baseball player here when we were number one in the country. We started out 19-0. I think it was the best start in school history. And I can remember that vibe in town. You walk around, there's a sense of pride in the town when the sporting team's doing good. Yeah. And switching gears now to 20 years later. I mean, I've been out of here for 20 years now. It's crazy. 20 years later, you kind of feel that now with the trend that softball's really been building for the last several years. You've been seeing this upward track really since Coach Ricketts took over as the head coach. It's really been building and building and building. And now you're kind of seeing a lot of that take off when you look at the 4 straight weeks of the number one ranked poll we've ever been in. Number 9 in the RPI this week that's coming out. And, you know, the fans, we had spring break last night with a big crowd. Like, the Starkville Academy's gone, Starkville High School's gone for spring break, the students are all gone for spring break. Big crowd anyway for a 3 o'clock start. Like, you don't always get that at an early start time. There was a big crowd last night. We had a young team take the field with us. I had an email up from one of the dads of the little Chaos team that came out there and ran the field with us, and how it was a bright spot for their day and all that. And that's what it's all about. And you're kind of seeing that more and more now. Yes, the network helps. The SEC network helps. Being on ESPN, all that kind of stuff helps. But you're seeing the growth of the game, you know, the growth of softball and kind of what it's done and what it's taken off. And you're in the golden age now. Sacco, you are too. You're still playing as well. Y'all are in the golden age now, and it's only getting better. And, you know, it kind of gets into the next thing. We're talking about social media and, you know, Instagram and Twitter, or X as they call it now, and everything else. We had a really good poll going. And your dog kind of took center attention here.
I voted for
of this.
Me too.
We had some really, really good nominees for the poll on who do we want to be featured more. We had the pink pony in the dugout.
Of course.
Yeah.
Supin's always got that thing with her. It's kind of crazy. And it made its intro in the fall for one of our class talent show things we did. And that's where the pink pony showed up. It was great. Mr. Barbary's fedora. Now this thing is a legend, and its legendary
Classic.
status just keeps growing and growing. We even hinted 2 years ago on Senior Day, just giving out 500 fedora hats. To like that should be a great marketing promo. Hey, it's Irving Barbary fedora hat giveaway day. The first 500 fans get the maroon fedora. But the fedora made it to the poll. The managers, I don't know who put the managers in there, but the managers made it into the poll, and then Finnegan. Finnegan made it. And of course, who won? Well, Finnegan.
Of course.
Yeah. It's somebody's shot of the week, Finnegan, and rightfully so. I mean, the dog is everywhere. We talked about him a minute ago, but what breed number one is Finnegan? And kind of tell us a little bit about how you guys decided to go and bring Finnegan into your home.
So he's Frenchton, so he's 75% Frenchie and 25% Boston. And we got him in, I think, 2019 when my dad got out of the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And ever since, he's just been really my dad's best buddy, but, he's also a mama's boy through and through. Yeah.
Would expect nothing less.
Right.
Kind of getting into your dad, we're going to have Salute to Service this weekend, and we got a lot on deck this weekend with our Tennessee series, but Salute to Service is a big one. Nadia's family, mom and dad, in the military. Jesse Blaine's dad last year, corporal in the Marines, your dad in the Marine Corps. You kind of getting into a lot of that influence. And we have the Sonny Montgomery, the GV Sonny Montgomery Veterans Center on campus, huge. So we have a lot of presence at Mississippi State in terms of our military, but certainly appreciate. I know we talked your dad a good bit about that on your recruiting visit, just about his time in the Marine Corps and that sort of thing. And that's awesome. Appreciate his service. And Finnegan, of course, too, kind of hanging around, keeping everybody on their toes at the ballpark, and being a good presence around as well. But your dad's going to throw out the first pitch on Saturday. So has he been able to give you along the way any pitching tips to help you be as successful as you are?
He caught every bullpen. He still tries to catch, whenever I go home. And he's taken me everywhere. He really is like the reason why I'm here. I mean, honestly, my pitching coach back home, he would drive me 2.5 hours there and back. He would do anything to help me get better.
That's awesome. I know Coach Ricketts' dad used to always talk about, or Coach Ricketts would tell us about her dad catching bullpens with steel-toed boots. Kaylani throwing that pretty good drop ball. He learned real quick, I better wear my steel-toed boots. And you've got a pretty good drop ball, too. I bet he's probably got a shield or something behind to protect his toes.
He still refuses to wear shin guards, so that's just something that he loves to catch my drop ball.
There we go. Brave, very brave.
He is brave.
So being part of a military family, being a child in the Marine Corps, you guys moved around quite a bit, 5 different states. What was kind of that experience like growing up? You may be in this town for 2 years, then you're on to the next one for 3. Kind of what was that experience like for you as a kid growing up?
Honestly, I thought it was normal. I thought it was fun to have the little military kids meeting, because I always got free food. So, yeah, of course. But now, looking back, I'm super glad that, my dad served the country and I was able to see a whole bunch of different places, meet a whole lot of people. I mean, it's really, I've known people all over the world,
That's awesome. And like I said, we appreciate his service. Appreciate the service of the Barbarys, the Blaines, the Davidsons, me and Montana Davidson, both of her parents in the military as well. So certainly tip of the cap to all you that are out there at home and abroad, protecting our freedom and everything that comes with that. So kind of shifting gears, heading home. When you're round third, you're headed home, Sacco. And now we turn our sights towards SEC opening weekend. We had the first weekend bye this past year. Several SEC teams opened up last weekend. The rest of us are going to open up this weekend, and it happens to be a home series too. So excited about that. Number 1 ranked Tennessee, undefeated team coming to town. So number 1 in RPI as well. So a really good opportunity with Tennessee Volunteers coming to town this weekend. Friday is a mini bat giveaway. So always excited to have the old mini bats given away. Saturday, as I mentioned a minute ago, the Salute to Service. We're going to do a camo bucket hat giveaway. Miss Barbary and Mr. Ammon are going to throw out the first pitches. So excited to have them too, side by side, throwing out the first pitches on Saturday. And then Sunday is First Responders Day. So that's always followed by the post-game home run derby.
Yeah.
And the firemen have really kind of taken ownership with the softball squad. It's always a cool scene when you're getting into the first inning and you see the red lights coming in and the fire trucks are backing in behind the outfield at News Park. We certainly are excited to see them. But the firemen like to hang out on the ladder, so they get the best bird's eye view of the game. They hang out on the ladder on the outfield deck and really do a good job supporting. Sometimes Bully will get out there and hang out with them. Bully doesn't say a whole lot. Talks about as much as Finnegan does.
Yeah.
Doesn't mind getting his ear scratched too. That's cool as well. But the firemen they take a lot of pride in the first responders game because that usually follows with a home run derby. And it's the firemen versus the police department. And the firemen have won 4 years in a row. So I expect them to retain their championship belt to win the home run derby again. If you're driving down Highway 182, approximately 30 minutes after the last out's made in the Tennessee series, I suggest you not come on the eastbound lane because you might be hit with a 295-foot home run. So there'll be some balls really launched out here. I think we picked up one last year by the TVA Center on the other side of the 4-lane. That's how far one of the home runs was hit. But again, firemen trying to retain their belt. The only time the police got close is when Paige Cook's dad, a police officer in Georgia, had to come in and pinch hit for one of the policemen because he got called away on a call. So anyway, we'll see if the policemen kind of, get a little BP in this week to roll into this weekend. But I got my heart set on the firemen, depending their title, and we'll kind of see what happens with all that. But big weekend ahead. Thank you guys for tuning in today to the Rounding Third podcast. Leila, thank you for joining the show. For my co-host, Sierra Sacco, I'm Tyler Bratton. Hail State.
Hail State.
Hail State.